we have the startup session, every Thursday, 5 p.m. And what we essentially do in this session is to cover everything to do with startups, right? So, don't forget for something exciting on an ongoing basis on startups, just come in every Thursday, 5 p.m. for a startup buzz session. Uh, Thanks. And with that, Amit and Divya, over to you guys.
Thanks, Ravi. Really appreciate that. And also a big appreciation for your conviction and commitment for seamlessly and tirelessly pursuing this whole campaign every Thursday, 5 o'clock. Clearly, one of the major milestones for CII. Also grateful to Anant for putting this all so meticulously every time in the background. Hello, everyone. My name is Amit. I'm founder of a company called as Get a Life, more popularly known by a brand name Galf. There are two companies that I run. One is related to wellness tech, and the other one is Galf Startup Studio, which invests and nurtures new age startups. In my experience in both the companies, the Galf and the Galf Startup Studio, we realized that content creators and influencers are the new age celebrities. Clearly, any brand worth its merit who wants to have a digital presence today cannot ignore the value that content creators and influencers bring to the table. On that note, I welcome today's guest and respected panelist, Divya Bopanna. Divya, I don't want to steal the thunder. I would like you to share with the members over here about you in terms of how you started, how you became a content creator, stroke influencer, and if at all, if there's any difference between both of them that you would like to share.
Hi, Amit. Thank you so much for the very kind introduction. And thank you, Ravi, also for this amazing opportunity. So everyone watching, I am Divya Bopana and I'm a content creator based out of Hyderabad. And I've been creating content on Instagram for the last 7 years. I've been doing this from way before COVID has taken over Instagram, and content creators are all over the internet. So really grateful that I've been able to do this and being able to spread so much of my knowledge to a lot of people on my Instagram and today with all of you guys. And yeah, really grateful and happy that I'm here.
Lovely. Welcome aboard again, Divya. All right. So, a lot of people are very, very keen to understand about this whole concept of content
Mhm.
creation and influencing, right? When did it struck you that, hey, this is something that I want to pursue? I'm sure you were kind of, being possibly pressurized to follow convention route of completing your education and pursuing a traditional route of certain career. And clearly your generation is the first generation which truly brought the whole concept of content creation and influencer kind of careers alive. So we'd like to know more. When did you kind of got that inkling that this is what you are meant to do?
So pre Instagram, when I was in my 10th grade, post my 10th grade, I was really
Yeah.
keen on writing about things. I had so much to share about just things in life, and that's when WordPress was a big thing. But this was I was on Facebook, but Facebook didn't have much of an influencer, or people would mostly share their personal moments on Facebook. But
Yeah.
WordPress was somewhere where people I would read a lot on WordPress, and that was a platform that I wanted to be a part of as well. And that's when I started writing my WordPress blogs. This was way back in 2015. I would just
Okay.
write WordPress
Yeah.
blogs, and I've written blogs for about two and a half years. And after that, I was done with my 11th and 12th, and that's when I was supposed to go to NIFT because I was so passionate about being in the fashion industry. And my 11th and 12th, I worked so hard to get into NIFT, but unfortunately, I couldn't get into NIFT. And because my knowledge was also very limited, I knew I wanted to explore the fashion industry, and fashion designing was the only accessible field back in the day. Like now,
Mhm.
there's so many careers that we can explore, and there's much more awareness because of internet, social media, Instagram. But a few years ago, also Hyderabad's career, I feel like Hyderabad a lot of people don't explore fashion as a career, like to study and to start off with at a very young age. People eventually, when they want to start off a label, at some point they would, but I feel like Hyderabad back in the day, I'm speaking 10 years ago, was a little more secure, very traditional with a lot of approaches. So that's when I couldn't get into NIFT. I was planning. My parents were very supportive. They wanted me to. I mean, by then my parents understood I wanted to be in the fashion industry one way or the other. So for them also, they thought fashion designing was the only way for me to get into the fashion world. But I couldn't get into NIFT, and I was really disappointed. And I continued my education. I did my
Yeah.
BCom finance because I was really good with money and I was really good with
Wow.
like accounts and all of that. My dad's like, okay, this is because I was sure that I didn't want to do medical or engineering, and there was BCom was the only thing that I could possibly opt for with what skills I already had. So my dad's like, okay, go for it. And while I was studying BCom, I had this nudge of doing more. And
Very good.
that's when Instagram blew up. And I've seen a lot of influencers speak up, post a lot of content. That was really exciting for me. It was definitely not something that I initially intended to do, but that was something I liked because I would love taking pictures. I had an eye for things. I love sharing things. And I'm someone who had a I was a very social person, so it came naturally for me. This was not something that I wanted to do as a career, but I was in college. I had the time. I had the resource. I don't know. I just had it in me to just start posting my life online, and it actually resonated with a lot of people. And at that point of time, Hyderabad was just started growing. A lot of brands started investing in Hyderabad, and fashion as an industry started growing in Hyderabad. A lot of I mean, cinema also plays a big role in this because a lot of actors from the south have started um, getting recognized nationally, and I feel like a bit of everything really helped Hyderabad get exciting things. So I think that really helped me start sharing content. And right after 2020, COVID has hit, and all of us were stuck at home. And that's when I started taking it full time because I just completed my education. I didn't know what I was doing, but I already had a couple of years of experience because from my 10th grade until I think I had about 5 years to I was just writing, I was sharing things. It was not foreign for me. So I got a little bit of confidence saying, yes, I can take this up. It was definitely not something my parents were proud of for the longest time because they wanted me to pursue something after BCom. But something inside me strongly said, no, I think this is something, and it's also something a lot of people haven't explored in Hyderabad. It was a foreign term for my parents as well, my friends as well. They were like, what is she even doing? She's just posting her life online and she wants to make this her whole career. As much as they are supportive, everyone felt like this would not be a sustainable career option right when COVID has hit. And that's when I knew it in me that this could take me somewhere.
Lovely.
I wouldn't say I would be successful or I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew this was going to take me somewhere, and I just held on to that feeling. And that's
Lovely.
how everything
Excellent.
started.
Excellent. And that's quite a start, because one of the things which is clearly standing out over here is that while you pursued a certain educational qualification, which is obviously very helpful, it opens various horizons and dimensions in terms of your thinking process, but you started to develop your skills early in terms of the work that you would like to do. And the
Yes.
fact that you had that kind of a courage to share a bit of your life and your
Yes.
experiences clearly spoke about
Yeah.
how you wanted to bring a more authentic experience for the people, right? Now that's an important one, and I see one of the question also kind of coming up over here in terms of what makes content authentic in the eyes of today's audience. And there's someone also mentioning what does stop advertising and start influencing truly mean in early case startups, right? So we'll try to bring up that more contextually. That uh, advertisements have been there for at least as long as I can. I'm 49, and I've seen since the time kind of I gained consciousness. I've always questioned the advertisements. Trust me. Whenever and every time I've seen advertisement on a TV, and those days when even radio used to be there on AM and FMs, still are, I always question the advertisement. Most of the time, I feel advertisement is for the companies who are not able to sell.
Yeah.
That was my thinking process. It may be wrong, absolutely, because there are a lot of big brands who keep advertising. Sometimes it's also about, younger brands wanting to have a kind of a eye appeal or a ear appeal to people so that they come to know about it, which is good. Um, in light of that background, how do you ensure personally that there is a level of authenticity in terms of the content that you create or the impact that you are trying to create through your information or the content that you present? And we will come over to the utilization by the brands and startups on that later.
So I primarily work with a lot of Indian brands, so Indian luxury brands in terms of fashion, lifestyle. This is I usually get a certain brief from the brand. So when I'm working with a lot of brands or startups, there are a couple of talking points that I get from the brand. That is non-negotiable because end of the day, there's a certain kind of awareness and communication that brands want to deliver. Sometimes, like you mentioned, there could be times when brands are not performing well, which is why they want to do marketing or they want to bring in awareness. So usually I work with brands that want awareness than want sales, because I feel like that kind of works for me, because when I'm speaking about awareness, there's more authenticity when I'm speaking
Yeah.
about something. When I'm trying to make a sale, it is less authentic, more delivering of a certain script that was given to me. It is like a proper advertisement. Go get this. This is how it is. But when I'm trying to gain awareness, this of course took me a lot of time to come to the stage where I can pick and choose brands that are okay with me spreading awareness about what they have. It is advertising. I am trying to sell it in a way, but it is the communication is coming through an awareness. People should know about a product like this, or a service like this is in process at the moment. So over time, I feel even content for the last 5 years has changed. 5 years ago, if you've seen on Instagram too, there would be cutthroat ads. Like you would see influencers just reading out of a script. But now there's a lot of integrated content. Like people are advertising, but in their personal style, trying
Correct.
to
Yeah.
speak about a certain topic and just include a brand just for like those 10 or 15 seconds. But the rest 30 seconds is about a story time or something funny. I feel like most of us could actually relate to a lot of funny memes reels that we see on Instagram, where someone's trying to start off with a really fun tagline and go, they'll start us into the reel, and then in between there's a certain ad. I feel like that way there's a little bit of authenticity. But when it comes to brand deals or when we're working with brands, authenticity is never 100%. That's something that I need to be honest about, because there will be a brief, there will be a certain set of pointers that brands expect us to speak about or convey. We will, so it's upon the creator to tweak them and make it sound as authentic
Yeah.
as a person can to their audience.
So on that note, if I may ask, right? So you as
Yeah.
a content creator influencer, do you perform any kind of a validation check, and particularly in light of the hue and cry that has recently, been caused, particularly in the edible processed food space, or for that matter of fact, nutrition supplement space, where brands have claimed for, say, a moon, and when you dig deeper, you find that even the base level facts are either not validated or in some cases not true. I don't want to be naming any particular brand. It's not a right reflection in this forum. But you as a content creator or influencer, do you validate certain basic facts so that even though there is certain kind of a style or there's some kind of emotion or certain kind of an entertainment is getting created in content, but it is not moved away from the facts, or at least not a wrong depiction of the information through the content that you're creating?
So, one thing about my style of content is I'm very clear that I don't work with medical, nutrition, supplements. There are few categories that I don't work because I feel like the information that we are getting as consumers, forget about me working with them, we are not getting the full information. So there's certain categories of brands that I don't work with because I don't feel they're authentic to begin with. Like, I'm not a doctor to be telling about what kind of nutrition someone should take. I mean, a lot of people on Instagram still speak about them. Probably they have certain knowledge, but for me, I don't think I'm qualified enough to be speaking about them yet.
Very good.
So I don't speak about which is why I try to keep my segment of work very limited. I only work with. I know what I'm good at. I know what knowledge I have about a certain things, and I only speak about them. When I don't know about something, I refrain from that because that will make, I think I'll feel guilty to begin with. Like, I feel like when I'm, you can clearly see it on my face that this is something that I'm just reading out of the script. So I refrain from talking about things that are not my niche, not my cup of tea. So I think that way I filter out a lot of brands. I know clothing is something that I'm really good at. I can
Very
make
good.
out a brand looking at the outfit. I know what quality, what craftsmanship, what number of hours that went into it. And let it be a home decor brand. I know that there's certain set of authenticity that's there. There's design skill and all of that. But there are few categories that I just can't resonate with as a person. So I refrain from working with such brands.
Lovely, excellent. That's very, very helpful for a
Yeah.
lot of people who are wanting to be influencers, either for their own brands or for others' brands, or for that matter of fact, just about kind of advocating some brand. Very, very important to fact check it. And if you do not necessarily have the facts, and if you
Yeah.
do not have the ability to research that content, not good to be presenting. Unfortunately, cameras in front of everyone today. People start speaking, but make sure
Yes.
the fact checking is done. The other
Yes.
thing also, and I just want to share a bit of my experience and want to solicit yours. So when I started my brand, I'm an ex-investment banker, spent nearly 25 years, buying, selling companies, transforming companies. But, a certain life event changed me and I started a wellness tech platform. Now, I am not a nutritional coach. I'm not a fitness trainer, right? In my case, the primary intent of me wanting to become the face of the brand was I said, hey, I am not advocating people to necessarily pick up XYZ product or a brand. I'm just sharing with people
You're
this is
ga- you're
how
tell-
this
you're
is
making
yeah,
people aware.
yeah, this is how I am transforming myself from a 95 kg fat man to a 80 kg athlete, becoming a triathlete. And this is my journey, right? This is what I'm doing. And at every stage, I would always tell people, hey, validate your current situation, consult a specialist as to what suits you best, right? But at the same
That's
moment
the
of
right kind
time,
of communication.
yeah, at the same moment of time, I always to say, that if I am creating a brand for myself, I am the biggest brand ambassador of my brand. I can't be hiring, let's say, a XYZ celebrity. So on that note, when you talk to the brands, right, and obviously in most of the cases it would be interaction with a marketing or a digital marketing team, but do you also happen to kind of understand the founder story behind it sometime and say engage and involve them in the process?
Very few. That's actually a very interesting question. So back in Hyderabad, I personally go to when it's a clothing brand or if it's a brand from Hyderabad making some nice lifestyle products, I make sure that I go to their store or their workshop, see what they're doing, because I also want to understand how a certain product is being produced. I think I can relate to the brand more. But in most cases, it's just the marketing team giving us the brief. So I would say 70% of the time it's just us being in touch with the marketing team, and it's a cut process. As much as we want to know more details, that's not something that we'd get. But the 30% of the time, I make sure I'm fully present with the brand. I understand what they're doing. And I think the style of content that comes out after that is really beautiful. So that's something that I prefer to, but it's a 30/70. Not a lot of times do
Lovely.
I
No,
get to
it's
actually
it's
listen to.
it's you consciously selecting which brands you would like to work for, where there's the relatability
Yes.
with your personality and your authenticity. Have you
Yes.
ever, I'm sure you've encountered,
Yeah.
seen brands profiling influencers that, hey, is this the right kind of influencer? And a lot of time it's also about budgetary constraints because you may be charging
Yes.
XYZ for a post or a story. So, what's a right way for brands to select a of a influencer and maybe a just kind of a benchmark on what's the pricing strategy behind the right influencer?
Yeah, so this is actually very, very, very important to anyone who has a business, is a startup or well established or anywhere in actually any brand, to be honest. Like I always advise this to my friends who've just started out, or if they're looking for any marketing people or even influencers or anyone who's speaking about their brand. It's as a founder or as a marketing person, you need to first do your market research of the kind of people that are right for your brand. You may like someone on Instagram, you may really fancy them, but they may not be the right person for your brand because be it their voice or be it their language, anything, a lot of things matter. Like the kind of I don't have the right word, but not everyone is for everyone.
True,
Not every
true, true.
influencer works for every brand because be it the kind of audience as well. If you're so I work with luxury brands, like I mentioned before, and if I speak about a brand that's not from that segment, I don't think my as much as my audience can purchase a product, they can't relate to it. So the reach and the conversions become less. Or if I am someone who's catering to tier 2 cities, and if I speak about a luxury brand, I don't think a tier 2 person would even understand what a luxury what I mean, it would be clueless. So as a startup founder, you need to personally I mean, you can literally work with two people, but you need to follow their journey, see if this would resonate with your brand. And if you think an influencer would really enjoy a product or uh, whatever you're trying to sell, I think you should follow an influencer's journey and make the influencer also relate to the product. I think that's something not a lot of people actually do, because if it's a product that a startup founder sent to me to just try it, and if I genuinely love it, I'd post about it without being paid. I don't have to be paid if I genuinely love something. So I feel like that one-on-one or that personalized connection between the communicator and the brand is missing. And if that could be bridged, I think a lot of brands and influencers would be benefiting. There's a lot of authentic voice that would come out, and not everything needs to be monetary at that point, because there will be few brands that are willing to pay. There will be few brands that I'm okay working with a couple of brands because I know the product is good and I know my audience would like it, and I'm just a medium here. Like I know I'm benefiting goodwill. I may not get money, but I'm getting trust from my audience. So that also works sometimes. So I think as startup founders, you really need to understand what kind of like I've seen a lot of marketing PR agencies reach out to me for brands that are not even my niche. They just send it to 10 influencers, see who's working in their budget, and just push out the campaign. And the ROI may not even match up to what the brand has expected. You don't have to work with 10 people, you can work with two people who you think can
Correct.
bring you the ROI in terms of whatever you're expecting. And it's very important that brands also meet up with their customers, with with the influencers or content creators that they're working with, so there's some sort of personal connect that's there, and it adds up in some way.
I totally
If
agree
you're
with you.
always like messaging on WhatsApp and trying to understand, I don't think as influencer I could relate to a product as well.
I'm
I'm
sure,
just
I'm sure,
I'm
I'm sure.
just reading it out of somewhere. So sometimes it's really hard for us as well to relate to a product, but we really try to research more or just watch more videos, watch more content on YouTube or wherever the brand's producing, so we could relate to the product. So I think when founders or just the brand team makes that little effort, it really makes a lot of ROI for both parties, I feel.
Lovely, excellent. Very pertinent. And I'll kind of, in a case in point, also corroborate through our own example. When we
Yeah.
started as a corporate wellness company, and we barely had any kind of a tech stack, and I elaborate one came out much later. We remembered that, we started touching lives of a lot of corporate Indians, particularly CXOs and two down, because that was our target population. And every time we touched their lives and kind of transformed them through any intervention, whether through a product or a service or a consultancy, we would try to capture their feedback. We would like to kind of capture their story also in terms of how their lifestyle was improving. And interestingly, we saw a lot of our competitors going and burning cash with Bollywood stars and some sports person saying, hey, he's a corporate wellness or a fitness specialist and stuff like that. And they only kind of increase their cash burn. Where on a rock bottom budget, we captured the real customer stories, and real customers became our influencers, and no one realized that a CEO of a large, let's say GCC or a large company in India, typically leads around anywhere between 20 to 30,000 people. And for those 20, 30,000 people, that's an aspiration, right? And that's a role
Yes.
model
Yeah.
they would like to become. So it's
Yeah.
interesting how you mentioned in terms of how to be sensible in terms of the budget and who your influencer should be in terms of relatability. While we are
Yeah.
talking about it, I do want to also understand that today's customer, particularly the digital customer, is what you call as a Casanova customer, right? They kind of speed date from one brand to one
Yes.
platform to another platform, particularly
Yes.
let's say UPI being the case. No one sticks to one payment platform. uh, in light of that, how do you bring out the influencer loyalty? Because it could be happening to influencer too for the same kind of a product type or a brand or a service type. Influencer may be jumping from one brand to another brand. So what are typically the kind of ethos that you individually followed, and you like, and do you think brands kind of imposing certain kind of code of conduct that, hey, you can't be working for this in this brand at least for this period or something like that?
So typically, I don't get such kind of with my scope of work. That's very limited. I don't really get any restrictions, but I also pace out my work as such. Like
Mhm.
I don't work with same category of brands back to back. I give it some time. There
Mhm.
needs to be so mostly 95% of the time when I'm working with brands, I need some USP.
Mhm.
Everyone needs to be unique from another. That's when I think people also, even if I'm speaking about a brand, I think consumers right now are so aware that they'll catch you. So I want to work with brands that there's something unique about their product. Let it be with I'm taking an example of a clothing brand. I work with an Indian couture brand one day, and the next day I could work with a homegrown brand. But each the quality is different, the price points are different, the designs are different. The two different, both of them are clothing, but on two different levels. So I
Yeah,
try to make sure there's a break. I could be speaking about a beauty brand or a skincare brand or some my personal content, but
true.
there will be a break. It won't be
Yeah.
like a constant push of content. There needs to be some USP in every piece of content that I'm making. Otherwise, I don't. I think by now even my audience know what they can expect from me. So it's really hard to trick my audience as well. So I
Yeah,
need to keep
that's
up
very
with
important. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think
It,
I need to keep up as well. It's not just about the consumer at the moment.
it's almost like otherwise feeling the same Khan advertising for Pepsi and other day advertising
Yeah.
for Coke, and people are getting confused which Coke does it, which cola do they really have? All right.
Yeah.
So on that note, I'll take some very interesting questions from the
Yes.
respected participants today, and some of them I've tried to incorporate in my question that I'm asking you, but one of them is quite
Um,
interesting, and I want to have your view while I have my own view too. Do nano and micro influencers provide better ROI than large creators?
I don't think anyone's a nano or a micro influencer because the reach right now for any person who's creating good content is unbelievable. They may have like 5,000 followers, but this one particular reel
Yeah,
could
it may go to millions.
reach
Yeah, yeah,
can actually reach million people. So I think it's a bet. It's a gamble. They could be. You could work with a nano influencer, and the reach could be. It again depends on the language. It depends on the kind of content they're creating.
okay,
If the brand's creating quick, if the content creator is creating something quick, something shareable, it blows up.
true,
If the creator is creating something more informative, it may not reach a larger audience, but it will reach the right audience. So it
correct,
depends on. Uh, it's no more nano and micro if you ask me. It's about whoever you're working with and what consumers like. Who are your target audience, and is the creator being able to tap onto your audience. So
true,
if it's a mass appealing product, if you want a lot of people to see it, create viral reels, create videos that have a hook or have something interesting that a lot of shares, it reaches a lot of people. There's a lot of awareness. But when it comes to a lot of luxury brands, they don't want a lot of people to see their product. They just want a limited set of people to see it. They're okay even if there are no sales, but the awareness is all that they need. And even if there's a little bit of ROI, it works out for them. So
Mhm.
there's it depends on what kind of product you have, and it depends on what how you'd want your brand to be perceived as.
True. Yeah. What's an aftertaste that you want to leave with? There's an interesting question again, relatable. I think we'll keep it very quick. How can startup choose the right influencer when they have small budgets? As Divya very rightly mentioned, it's not about big or a small influencer. Does that person have the relatability to the product or service that you want to pitch, and how they leave an aftertaste? But again, Divya, do you want to give any kind of a single line statement on that?
Yes, work. Send influencers or creators PR packages. Ask them to genuinely try it. Don't expect them to post. Just ask them to genuinely try it. If you know your product is amazing and if you think people would love it, I'm sure the creator would also love it.
Okay.
And they would organically speak about it. Just leave a sweet note saying, oh, if you like it, please
Yeah.
spread the word. But I think right now, everyone needs to have a marketing budget. That is a must and should be it. You can pay SEO or influencers or content creators or your in-house marketing team. Marketing budget has to be there. But when you don't have that much of a budget to pay influencers, at least be give them a really interesting PR package that they would want to story it or they would want to
Lovely.
take out their phone and post about it. So just don't expect anything from influencers, but give more, and if it works, it will reach as well.
Yeah, lovely. And it looks like there are a few introverts like me who are also sending them messages, and I'm able to immediately relate to it. And once you've
Yeah.
answered that, I'll like to give one line statement to that
Sure.
too. There's someone saying, for founders who are not comfortable on camera, how can they still build influence? And also, almost relatable is, can you give few tips for founder to become their own influencer? Your views first.
It is so important for you to put your face out there. That is help. I've known a lot of mediocre products perform really well because the founders just putting themselves out there. So just get comfortable with camera. Just spend 10 or 15 minutes every day to begin with and just be comfortable with camera. You can just speak, just imagine you're talking on a video call or just speak to the camera every day. And it's a journey. It's not something that you would learn in a week's time too. It may take a couple of months, but that is definitely going to help. Take help of your friends, colleagues, your team, your kids, whoever. Get comfortable with camera, and I think everything, the way you look at content, the way you look at influencers, the way you look at a lot of things completely changes. Sometimes it could be a normal video, but just the editing could elevate something so beautifully that it gives the impact. So you get to understand a lot of technical details also when you're behind the camera and when you're in front of the camera. So I think just get comfortable with camera, and it is going to change the way your business is going to perform.
Yeah, and totally reckon with that, Divya. Thank you so much for sharing that. So
Yeah.
beautifully said that get comfortable with camera. I remember
Yeah.
while I was always a public speaker during college and even for my high profile jobs that we were doing, even as a country head for a large investment bank, I was always camera shy. And I had
Yeah.
this crazy thing about this that, you know what, I'm great everywhere, but I'm very terrible for camera. And
Yeah.
one fine day, when I was building my brand, I realized that, hey, listen, I am what I am. I can't change it. But at least what I can do is I can put my most genuine, authentic self, whatever way I am, in
Yeah.
front of people. I don't need to pretend. I don't need to look like a XYZ, a Bollywood star, a sports person. But if I'm transforming, that's the way I would like. If I'm flabby, I'm flabby. If I'm good, I'm good. I started to bring it out. But most importantly, I started, sharing very right set of authentic information which are relevant for people. And guess what? Exactly as you said, to my surprise, I started getting approached directly by Times of India, Economics Times, even Forbes. And only grateful to say that some a deeply introverted guy who could not face a camera. And one fine day, my team says, "Sir, something strange has happened." I said, "What?" He said, "Just open up your Google and in Google search, just speak, who is India's corporate wellness guru?" And guess what? It's just someone from Australia sent telling me, "Hey, Amit, we can see you." And Business Today, in their
Amazing.
special series with Cheryl Spielberg, they captured me as India's corporate wellness guru purely on the basis of content. And guess what? I
Yeah.
barely have 2,000 followers, not even that.
Yeah, so that's, you don't need to be an
Yeah,
influencer, or you don't, you can literally be someone
yeah,
with a public profile, just getting comfortable with camera. It's a journey, like just like how your business grows, you also grow in front of camera. That's something that I
true,
always
true.
say.
Yeah,
And I'm sure you can relate to it
and
as
it is
well.
a very bad correlation with people think that, hey, if you got 1 million followers, then you got, you will get 1 million, 2 million customers. No,
No, not at all.
individually, my brand page barely has 2,000, 3,000, or maybe
Yeah,
4,000 followers, depending on which platform you're checking in. We've got
yeah,
2.5 million customers, and most of them, 60% or 65% of them are HNIs and ultra HNIs, right? So
yeah.
you're so right, Divya, that, I mean, I'm so touched by the very fact that you say, don't worry, get started. Just face the camera
Yeah, we
somehow.
start it because there should be a starting point. And again, going back to what you said, not everyone's just following influencers. You need to have 10 other ways to promote your product. Influencers are just one. Like, I've seen a lot of brands solely depend on influencers and saying, oh, that brand's performing better because they got a so and so influencer or an actor on board, so their sales are better. No, that probably worked out for them. That's one off situation, but that won't work all the time. I know brands that do brilliant SEO, but they don't know influencer marketing. So
True,
you need to see
true,
what
true.
kind of marketing works out for you. I've known brands that a lot of people relate to the founder and they purchase products. The
I'm one of
product
them.
that,
I'm one of them.
yeah. So I think you need to find your way. Otherwise, it's really, you need to find what's working out for your brand. You need to try everything. I won't say
Yeah,
you just wake up and try a certain thing. You need to try everything and see what's working out for your
yeah,
brand.
yeah, yeah.
And if you can mix and match things, and if I think having a really efficient team also plays a big
True,
role.
true, true, true.
Because if your team has a certain view about about how to go about with the communication, if you have a certain, if you have something different, I think it's really difficult to match up things. So I think having the right team, right marketing team, someone who's relevant is very important.
True. After having said that, the primary statement that you made, that please first make sure that your product and service is great, right?
Yes.
And to corroborating to the message that you just said, that a lot of people want to experience a product and service purely on the basis of what founders' authenticity is. I'm going to talk about, just quickly, two brands, not no way of advocacy, but
Yeah.
personally, two of the brands which I used and I got delighted was purely reading on and hearing the founder's profile. One is the Bombay Shaving Company, one's Lenscat. They were all underdogs in their play. I was using their competitor profile. And then, once I heard their kind of authentic messages on Instagram and YouTube, and I felt, what, this guy makes sense to me. Let me just, apportion a small budget, try to use the product, and wow, the products are simply impeccable. All right. Coming over quickly to the next question. I think there's some person who's really wanting to get into a little bit of a algorithmic thing, saying which platform currently offer the best organic reach for startups?
Everything. I don't think I can put a. YouTube has its own reach.
Mhm.
Instagram has its own reach. SEO performs great. Physical marketing. I honestly, it depends on your brand. I don't think I can say which one's the right one because I know a lot of products that do well when they do pop ups, when they have real time customers. I feel like founders speak better, or the product sells better when people are in real time conversation with the product. Instagram obviously is a bigger platform, but I'm not sure if it actually translates to sales, but it definitely gives you a lot of
Awareness.
awareness.
Yeah.
For awareness, Instagram is great. YouTube is great if you want to educate your audience. Sales is great for, I mean, SEO does brilliantly now. There's so many platforms, there's so many people to help you for that. And I always suggest a mix of Instagram and in person marketing. I think a combination of that really works well.
Lovely. On the similar note of, the brand and the influencers conversation,
Yes.
I have some specific questions which I'll ask later, but want to
Yes.
respect the message that one of the respected participant has shared. For small startups, paying influencers just for awareness is not feasible financially, and all good influencers generally do not agree with barter kind of terms. What do you suggest for startups like this? Well, I suggest startup needs to have a bigger heart and give some money to influencers. They're also here to earn. But nevertheless, over to you, Divya.
I agree with what you're saying. Brands really need to understand. So you may not work with a lot. Like I said before, you don't have to work with 10 people. Work with 2 people. Give your budget to them, and I think that would definitely give you a reach, is what I would say. But in this era, when influencers are being your spokespeople, you need to give in your budget. You need to have that sort of a budget, and if you don't have the budget, you're at least getting awareness. So you need to be
Yeah,
satisfied with that, I
yeah.
think.
Or maybe to the
But
respected participant, I will
it's for
say that.
influencers.
Sorry, please carry on.
Sorry, I was just saying it, but you need to start. I think brands at this point,
Yeah,
I get a lot of messages being on, because I've been working for close to 7 years. I still get brands asking me if I would do a barter uh, collaboration, and I'd love to do it. When I genuinely try it, and if I like it, I'd post about it. But if they want me to do something very salesy, it's a turn off. I wouldn't want to work with that brand or want to associate with that brand, because why would I want a free product is not going to pay bills. So
lovely.
I think it is
My
important.
humble
Yeah.
suggestion will be get your first five clients and make them the influencer. There's nothing bigger than there's no
Yes.
better there's
Yes,
no
I
better
fully
in,
advocate that as well.
there's no better investor than a paying client, and there's no better influencer than a happy client. So remember, this is a tagline that you
Absolutely.
could possibly remember for life. A very interesting
Absolutely.
question, given the world is moving towards not from B2B to B2C, it is moving from B2I and AI to I conversations, where AI will be influenced by AI or AI will be influencing
Yeah.
customers. Will AI generated influencers disrupt or support creator led marketing? I don't know if there's a right answer to it, but yes, just independent views will be helpful. Divya.
In my opinion, no. But yes, to a certain extent with certain type of products, maybe, because end of the day, AI is not real. Like, how do I say it? You are giving a there's no sense of authenticity. If it's an AI creator or an influencer speaking about a product, it's scripted. You say only positives about a certain product. And I think it would be exciting for a few days, but later people will know.
Totally true. Yeah.
They really want a real person to speak about a product. I mean, you can use AI for your creatives, you can use AI for much better things, but definitely not to replace an influencer. I think you can use that for better
It'll be
marketing
interesting to see
purposes.
that if there is a AI generated influencer presenting product or pitching it, and
Yeah,
there is a AI generated buyer wanting to buy the product and how
that
AI kind
probably
of
works.
interface. Okay, good. So,
Yeah.
in the very simple words, right? If you were to be getting influenced by any influencer, now you putting you on the other side,
Yeah.
what are the top three things that you will look for which will influence you?
I'm actually a very because I'm also on the other side of the screen. I don't get influenced as quickly and I don't purchase a lot of things online. I prefer buying things offline. So I think for me, it's really difficult to sell a product for me because I'm an influencer. I know what it takes for an influencer to present things beautifully. But I would definitely encourage authenticity for brand. If the creator looks authentic, I would still buy in. I'd still watch the video. But I think end of the day, I also read customer reviews. So to have reviews on be it in comments or your website, that's something that I look uh, forward to as well. I don't completely trust an influencer as much as I do it, but as a customer, that's how I am. I like to research a little bit. I like
So,
to
so,
buy
so
things.
things like Google reviews or reviews
Not
on
Google
other.
reviews, or like there are few people who leave reviews on. websites and
So
brand posts some
website reviews can be
reviews.
orchestrated because they can just pitch only
Yeah,
the right review.
I don't know. I
Whereas
kind of fall for website reviews.
whereas the Google reviews are more generally independent because it's
Yes.
difficult to manipulate with them. Let's say if you go to mygolf,
Yeah.
.com Google reviews, there's only as much as we can do to delight our customers, right?
So
So
I follow a lot of reviews. I on the website or Google, and I see the video, I see the swatches, I see if it's really authentic. And I also understand if, and I believe this only if it's an influencer that I personally have purchased from before and I liked it. And the product they're speaking now is also on the same level, or if it's authentic, or okay, I can trust this product because I've already shopped something that she's recommended before. So I'm going to shop this as well.
okay, so this is a constant battle between people who are buying online, right? There is a study that was done, and they said the top three criteria for people to make a decision about buying from any news site or any platform. Number one, always was customer review, and it
Yeah.
was never influencer. Number
Yeah.
two was in terms of do they have a refund facility? Will
Uh,
my product be refunded? Right? If in case I don't like, and would I be able to refund or exchange? And number three, they want to know uh, an outside of the site review as to who is backing these platforms, right?
hmm.
So assuming a lot of time, I know the kind of founders that I mentor, they say, hey, you know what? It's such a great product. Everything is okay, but people are going to Amazon to buy my product rather than my own site, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
It takes only time for people to kind of start trusting the same brand's own site, and they kind of go to alternate, more credible marketplaces
Yeah.
to buy, even though there are evidences of fake products being available on those sites, but
Yeah.
because of the easy return facility,
Yeah.
right? So that's an interesting thing. So if Divya has to buy, and you said you don't buy much online, you buy offline, but still, if you have to, let's say, make a decision about buying something of a new brand rather than an old established big brand, would you do that? And if yes, why? If no, why?
I would if something's interesting. I think I'll see how the brand's Instagram pages. So for me, sometimes having the right aesthetic page that's not too clumsy is very important. Like I need it to be like an experience. That's the first impression that I have of a brand. And if I find it aspirational, if I feel like that is going to add some value to my life, and if it looks pretty, I'll buy into it. That's something I probably get influenced that way. And I also see if there are any familiar faces, like be it in terms of on Instagram, we see if any of our friends are already following that brand. And I check with some of my friends asking, oh, you follow this brand, have you ever shopped from them? Or if it's one of my close friends, of course, I'll just ask them, have you ever purchased something from them? So I've taken a lot of reviews from my friends as well. And again, influencers, if they are working with certain influencers that are authentic, like when you're in the industry, you know the few people who are not selling out. They pick and choose their brands. So when I know that they're working with the right kind of people, they're doing the right kind of community activities as well on their Instagram, I know that there's personal touch. It's not just creatives, it's not just video produced, but when they're real people on the platform and on Instagram, I feel like I can relate to it much more, and I chances of me purchasing online are much more.
Wow, wow, lovely.
Yeah,
So, very pertinent, and I'm so glad that you shared your most authentic message
yeah,
here because brands should be listening to what you're saying. Interestingly, we
yes,
rolled out a survey recently across 10,000 of our, survey responders, and they said that if I have to be buying something from a new brand as compared to an old brand and digitally, the first thing that I would like to check is that is there someone whom I can talk to? Guess
yes,
what? In the
yeah,
world moving from all thing people to digital and AI, they're common. And over 80% respondents said, if I can talk to someone in that brand directly and I
yeah,
know that this is, I would have more credibility about it. And that's one thing, I've seen a lot of all the 34 companies that I'm kind of spread in, right, invested in. I make sure that even if it is founder picking up a call and talking to the customer, they must do it at least once in a week, right?
Yeah,
Because the kind of authenticity that you can build with directly talking to the customers is irreplaceable, whether it is
yeah.
AI or
There's a
non-AI.
long-term trust, there's loyalty, and
Yeah,
I personally always believe that actually I get a lot of my work through word of mouth as well.
yeah,
A lot of people recommend me because of whatever benefit they've gotten from me. And I also believe every brand needs to have a solid percentage of word of mouth.
yeah.
Because that way conversion has happened in seconds. Like if someone tells me, if someone's used a product and I ask them, oh, it looks nice, or if they're recommending me a product, right away I'm on my phone, I've placed an order in like 10 seconds. It won't take
Wow.
much. But when it's someone that you trust, you don't even want to take a lot of time to read about the product. Sometimes you just want to place an order. And even like platforms like Blinkit and Zepto had made us it's made things much easier, I feel. Like, let's say I'm with a friend and I like, let's say, her lipstick, and if she says she just bought it on Blinkit the other day because she forgot her lipstick. There were times that I would just go on to Blinkit and buy it. It literally takes a couple of seconds. But just when a friend has something good to say or someone that I look up to has something nice to say, I blindly get it and not think twice before purchasing.
True, true. Word of
And I
mouth.
feel like that way, word of mouth, I always recommend this. Word of mouth will have your loyal customers. They would be spreading your word. They would be spreading the right kind of word.
So interestingly, all the customer success and customer loyalty theories, which have been there for decades and ages. Interestingly, the first lesson, at least for some of the top tier institutes that I have studied in and I've kind of tutor now, has always been word of mouth.
It's
Always.
amazing. I've always trust word of mouth, and the reason why a lot of people on my Instagram platform trust me is because apart from all the brand collaborations that I do, I genuinely try a lot of products. Like I generally go to a lot of restaurants in Hyderabad, and I personally tell how I feel about a certain place, and I feel like that kind of helps my audience to get that trust. So that translates to my brand collaborations.
Oh, yeah,
Like when
love
I
it.
speak about a brand, then they're like, oh, okay, this is also nice. Because I do enough of organic content that where people trust my work that it translates. It's all a butterfly effect, is what I feel. If I just post about brand deals tomorrow, if I genuinely want to post about something organic, they'd consider that as a brand deal as well. So I do considerable amount of organic work so people can relate to my paid, and there's certain collaborations that look like collaborations and there's nothing much that you can change about it, so
Excellent.
that's when this helps.
On that note, I would definitely, since you spoke about organic collaborations, I want to know, tell me one of these collaborations with a brand or maybe an independent capacity, where when you created a content or with the intent of influencing, right, as they say, the name may be, um, but the aftertaste was, hey, it was not just an influence on about a product or service, but
Mhm.
I authentically touched human lives. Tell us about that.
I think I have so many to say, but I think I would always I won't say collaborations, but I'd say something. I'd just keep it to content. When I speak about restaurants, because I don't take up a lot of collaborations with restaurants. I personally like to visit. Even when I'm traveling, I try to go to a lot of places and try food. I feel like people really relate to it. There's so many places that people have celebrated their milestones in certain places. They leave a message saying, "Oh, we got to know about this place because you've gone there, da, da, da," and I've proposed to my girlfriend there. We've done like our parents' anniversaries there. That's something that I mean for me, when I recommend some really nice activity place or a food place, I think that really makes me happy because people get to share a lot of moments there. A lot of people take time to write me a message. And I feel like when I read it, I'm really happy about it. And next is, of course, clothing. I work with so many beautiful Indian couture brands, and some brides actually write to me saying, "Oh, we saw you wear a certain outfit from a certain designer, and I tried the same outfit." There's so many brides that I know who literally wore the same outfit that I've posted about, and they were brides in those. And it just makes me so happy. Like, I just can't put my finger on one thing, but it's cohesively a lot of these small things that I try to bring in my personal style into my content. A lot of people relate to it and they resonate back, and that really makes it special for me.
Excellent, excellent. Just conscious that we are, just approaching the end time, and most of the questions have already been covered. If there are more, I'll
Yes.
ask. But I do intend to ask on behalf of all those people who are wanting to pursue a career
Yeah.
into content writing and influencing, or impact creators, as I call them, right? World is a world full of manipulators, as we can say, and sometimes those manipulators are brands or
Yes.
people or agencies representing brands, right? So purely from protecting the interests of such impact creators or influencers, what are the do's and don'ts that they need to look for, more so contractually or in terms of any kind of a practice that they should follow, so that their interests are protected, whether it is the image of the influencer, or for that matter of fact the commercials of the influencers, because I also hear a lot of influencers then end up chasing a lot of agencies and brands just to give
Yeah.
the money back on time.
So I first think consumer need to be well aware. Like, the different parts that I want to speak about. So even if an influencer is speaking about a certain product, I feel like a consumer need to be fully. They shouldn't blame just the influencer for a purchase or anything. So when a brand is working with an influencer, they need to keep that in mind. Like, not always would you get a sale, but you need to accept that the influencer is trying to speak authentically, and that comes with a price. Like, let's say, like like I mentioned before, like I do a lot of organic content, and that costs me a lot, right? When I'm producing my own
Of
content. So
course,
which
it
is
costs
why
you time, yeah.
which is why when I'm charging a brand, it comes with a certain price. So it's all a gamble if you ask me. Like, but I strongly advise startup founders to have a personal relationship with the creator. Do a Zoom call, do a conference call before you close the influencer, so you understand each other's energy and vibe. And if it works out, sometimes a brand can be on the fault. Sometimes an influencer can be on a fault, or a consumer might not be happy. So I think all of you should just have a good energy, so it just works out.
Yeah.
Is what I
So
say.
more so contractually, what are the terms and conditions that you think that these are must have before, unless until they are there, I won't kind of pursue a brand?
For me, like I mentioned before, I have a certain category of products that I don't work with, and I also have a terms and conditions document that I share with all the brands when I'm closing them, saying you can't push an influencer to just speak like your if you have like certain lines about your, unless if it's your tagline, that's different, but please don't say this is 100% authentic, or please don't make me speak about certain terms that are not that's something that I can't relate to, and please don't structurize everything as something. There are a couple of terms and conditions, like pay 50% before
True.
I go live, or payment terms. You can clear it after a week or 30 days or 45 days. So I think all of these points, brands also need to have their certain set of guidelines when they're working with influencers to protect their interests. And influencers also need to have their terms and conditions to protect their interest. And there could only be two changes or three changes that can be done, because sometimes a brand, when they approach influencers, can come with a different concept. And after the influencer shoots, they're just not feeling it. Their literal answer could be, "We're not feeling it." So all the effort that the creator has taken could just go into waste. So
True.
it's important for the creator also to say, okay, we can only do two sets of changes from what's already shot, what's already agreed, so both the parties are not disturbed this way, and protected.
Lovely.
I would say.
Excellent, excellent. And we are bang on 6 o'clock, just 1 minute to go.
Amazing.
I really, really appreciate Divya for a very candid and very, very authentic conversation. Truly appreciate your time and trust with CII and coming over and talking over here. Just so that all the people who are on the call, they could follow you on Instagram or the channel.
Thank
You
you.
can quickly relay your Insta handle, and after that, we'll
Yes.
see everyone. Goodbye.
I am Divya Bopanna, DIVYA underscore. You can find me on Instagram and probably follow my journey and understand how I speak about brands, how I convey authentic messages, if that
Lovely.
helps.
Excellent. Thanks again, Divya, for being there.
Thank
Really, really
you.
appreciate. I truly enjoyed
Thank
it.
you.
And thanks to
Thank
all
you
the
so much.
lovely participants today. Greatly appreciate your time with us. And thank you so much for all the lovely questions.
Great. Thank you
Take
so
care.
much. Thank
Bye.
you. Nice talking to you. Yeah.